Hi, my name is Jaja Burnell. I live in Western Massachusetts. I am a mom of a 6-year-old little boy named Jace. A year and a half ago, he was attacked in the face by a family dog, and it was a mother's worst nightmare. He was immediately brought to Boston Children's Hospital, where we had the best plastic surgeons in-house put my boy back together, thank God. During that time, I felt so alone and so confused and so lost about what to do, what steps to take, the financial burden of all of this. The dog that bit him was a family dog to make things worse and more complicating. And what avenue am I willing to go down? And how do I navigate all of this? So with that said, a really good friend of mine reached out to me and said, if you don't mind, I would like you to give Daniel Faneuf at Faneuf Law Group a shot. He's a fantastic lawyer in the Boston area, but he serves all of Western Massachusetts as well, so that wasn't going to be an issue. And I said, you know what? This takes a huge burden off of my shoulders. The weight was lifted of this constant worry that I had going through my head of all of these unanswered questions of what my life would look like, what my son's life would look like, trying to do this alone. So my husband and I agreed. We immediately contacted Mr. Faneuf, and he was amazing from the start. His first priority was Jace, nothing else. The conversation was always about Jace and Jace's surgery, Jace's recovery, the healing process, the long-term effects of the dog bite. He stayed on top of Jace's case from start to finish. He was there for us from the start of a very dark, gloomy time in my life, and he saw us through to the light. He was always available to talk, even when I felt like I had stupid questions or silly questions, or maybe just questions that I needed him to help me through some of the reality of what was happening, and to assure me that everything was going to be okay. And more importantly, Mr. Faneuf, he's honest. He was, upfront and fair the entire time about, how things were looking and what to expect. And most importantly to me was he's a very real person. He's down to earth and just real. And he has compassion for the situation. And for me, this was my son, and this was literally a mother's worst nightmare that I didn't even imagine could be real. Was hitting me in the face, real life happening. My son's face was torn apart by this dog, and I was just so lost. And I am so thankful and grateful and blessed that Mr. Faneuf was introduced to us and brought into our lives to represent us in this case. Because although Jace may still have some struggles with scarring and some other potential issues from the dog bite, his future is going to be so much brighter now. The financial burden alone, knowing is taken care of and released from, my shoulders, that's not something that we would personally be held liable for, was an amazing feeling alone. Now knowing that his future will be even brighter because of Mr. Faneuf fighting hard for us to make sure that, this was taken seriously, and a dog bite is not something to be overlooked, no matter how big or how small. It's traumatic and it can be deadly. So if you're looking for an attorney to represent you and have your best interest taken at all times, Mr. Faneuf is your man. Faneuf Law Group, they've got your back from start to finish, from the ugliest, darkest days of your life to see you all the way through to the sunshine and the light at the end of the tunnel. I wholeheartedly would recommend you to reach out to Mr. Faneuf or Faneuf Law Group to help you pave the way through whatever traumatic event you're facing, from injury or loss. So with that said, my son Jace cannot be here with us right now as he's actually outside playing, but I did just want to show you the picture of about 4 weeks post-op of his smiling little face. Since then, it has healed more, and he's on the road to recovery. He does have scarring, but we can live with scarring. My boy is whole and in one piece and put back together. So I thank God, and I thank Faneuf Law Group for being there for us from start to finish. So I'll end with that, and thank you again, Mr. Faneuf, so much.